Global Affairs Analyst Ejike Okpa joins me in the studio to discuss this. Good to have you join us, Ejike Okpa.
Well, thank you for having me.
We've talked so much about how, President Biden needed to focus on ensuring that, the coronavirus is dealt with in the U.S. when he first took office. That was the first point of call for him, especially with vaccination. But he was able to meet a goal, which is to vaccinate about 100 million Americans by his 100th day in office. But now it looks like the second goal, which is to reach about 70% of Americans, at least with first dose, July the 4th, is not going to be met. But when you look at what has been done so far, how would you rate the progress made so far?
Well, some progress has been made. One thing we know that the virus, the number of new cases is dropping. I think now the death is about 300, is it per month or something like that. But the Americans are resisting. Back in 2020 was a major issue for the campaign, and then he won, and then people are saying Democrats, Republicans, most families don't want to do the vaccination, and he can't force them. America is such a country that he can't force anybody to do anything, except it becomes a law, and that law, the Congress is resisting it. There's a push for a passport, vaccination passport, and that's not going to go anywhere. I personally don't subscribe to it. So far. Cases around the world is dropping. This new Delta, who don't know? Fauci is not somebody I have any confidence in, because at the beginning of the virus, he gave all kinds of projections, modeling that millions are going to die, and we found out year after that number is nowhere close. And so when it comes to public health like this, the reason the virus had this sort of global impact it had was because it was an election year. And they wanted to see something they would use on then President Trump, and they succeeded. Now they have issues on their hand because their goals have not been met.
You see, and that's where I really want to focus on what you just said, politicizing the COVID-19 pandemic.
Yes.
And there was a study by Yale researchers that political context has a lot to do with public confidence when it comes to safety and efficacy of vaccines. Do you think that perhaps making this a left or right issue in the U.S. contributed to how the public confidence and the general hesitancy we're seeing now in terms of vaccines in the U.S.?
Yes. Science is supposed to be straightforward. But, again, if this had happened prior to the election year, if this was like 2018 or 19, it wouldn't receive this sort of attention. So the left that have been preaching and praying that something happens so that Trump loses, which will impact the economy, they succeeded. What they said, be careful what you ask for. But it's not just America, it's the globe. Now, how do you restart the confidence in order to get the economy where it's supposed to be? That's what everybody's dealing with now. I think the science, was skewed by, the left, and they made it more than what it's supposed to be. Last year, COVID was not the top cause of death in America. It wasn't COVID. It was COVID. COVID was number 3. Heart disease and what was that? Some other stuff. But COVID wasn't even. But everybody thought COVID was it. And U.S. only has 600-something thousand deaths. So if you do it on a daily basis, it's like 2,000 or 20 people die in a day. Which in America, there are many people that die from other causes of illness. And globally, Nigeria is fortunate. While I was here, they said no new cases being reported. Now, is it because nobody showed up who has it but they didn't report it, or is it actually the disease has taken a dive in the country? So the scientists needs to be able to avoid politics because it affects the confidence, in the society. In the case of America, Trump presidency gave them the tool and they all jumped on it. Again, I'm saying this publicly, I don't have confidence in Fauci, whatever he says.
Some people will question whether the Trump presidency really gave them the tool or whether he actually contributed to the number of deaths, and you said only 600,000, that's a lot of people, and whether he also contributed to the vaccine hesitancy because he never publicly took that vaccine that we see now in America. But I wonder quickly, you will contribute, and you take along with this, young people are the major challenge because they see it like as a disease that affects older people, and they're not willing to take the vaccine. A lot of incentives have been put on the table, free ride from just, all of the e-hailing rights in the US. There's just a lot of incentives. What more can be done to ensure that young people are willing to take this vaccine? Well,
I mean, the vaccination thing, America has had cases where we use vaccination, and oftentimes the black population got very suspicious because they don't know what is being put in their body and what is the outcome. And so when this happened in case of Trump, the reason I brought Trump, because prior to the election, they said the only way he's going to lose if the economy crashes. And the way he's going to get the economic crash is what happened. They shut everybody down, mask. We found that even as we were wearing masks, people are still dying. It has not prevented anything. So the scientists keep coming from left and right, giving all kinds of their own opinion, and that just confused the public, and everybody's just kind of pulling back. So, the thing is, I don't think COVID is going to wipe us out. I think going forward, when something like this shows up, every nation has to be very careful the way they react. I think the reaction was overly undue. And then
I wish we had enough time to talk about this, because President Trump was still holding large gatherings and large rallies, even while he had
I was one of those people attending the rallies.
Exactly. So I mean, that could have contributed to it. But I wish we had enough time to talk about this. Global Affairs Analyst Ejike Okpa.
Well, thank you for
Always
having
great
me.
to talk to you.
Thank you.